Hi, my name's Simon Norton. I've just put together this little video just to give you an overview of how human beings create reality, so what we think is real. So an example of this is, when we first open our eyes up in the morning, that picture that we see. So how do we actually create that? I got curious about this about 10 years ago. I sort of thought to myself, I spend a lot of time in my mind. How does it actually work? So what I found out and what I'm about to share with you is just a basic, human biology. There's nothing woo-woo in this. So I guess for most of my life, like most people, I thought that life happened outside of me. And then depending on what was happening outside of me, I would feel in a certain way. So, for example, if someone did something to me that my partner decided to leave me, break up from me, then that was happening outside of me and I was feeling sad. If I was worried about money, that was happening outside of me and I'd feel worried. So that's basically how I thought I created reality. Effectively, it was all happening outside of me. So what I'm going to run through with you now is just what I've found out is how it actually works. And I'm going to use an example of an apple. So there is a reason there's an apple in this picture. So here we go. So the first thing I discovered, of course, and I think most of us probably know this from our schooling, is that everything that exists that we can see and also we can't see is made of energy. Energy, all animals, plants, human beings, the space in between it, cups, cars, everything contains atoms. It's all made of energy. What happens is that energy is transferred into our bodies via our senses. So, for example, the light of a cup is reflected into our eyes. The sound of some music comes in through our ears. Sound comes in through our ears. And as the information comes into our minds via our senses, our mind then scans through our memories and creates a picture of what it thinks is happening. So in this example here, the person thinks that they see an apple. From there, we have an emotion. In this case, the guy is obviously hungry and likes apples. And there's an action. And then there's an outcome. So this basically is the basic process of how we create our reality. So this sort of really confused me a little bit because this was sort of the opposite to what I thought, and for many years. And some key considerations I came up with, or some thoughts I came up with after I discovered this process, and that was, well, where do my thoughts actually come from? Where is the apple? What influences my actions? And then finally, am I able to determine the outcomes of my life? So I'm just going to quickly run through the answers to my considerations or the conclusion I've come to so far. First of all, in terms of where do my thoughts come from? Well, our thoughts come from our past experiences. So if you've spent much time with a baby, when young children, basically, as long as their physical needs are taken care of, they're generally, very, very happy. And babies don't have beliefs; their minds are blank, effectively. And then as time goes on, as they get older, their parents and teachers and family and society and all the rest of it, bosses, tell them, about how things are. They have experiences, and all this gets stored away in our memories. So basically, our thoughts are effectively based on our past experiences, our memory. Well, our thoughts come from our memories, and our memories are our past experiences. So what I realized, of course, is that all my thoughts are based on past information. So the next one was, where is the apple? So up until I did this research, I thought like, everyone else, the apple's outside of me. And in one perspective, the apple is outside of us. But it doesn't, as we'll run through and see, it doesn't actually exist as an apple. We get to determine it. The way our minds work determines what we actually see. So if we follow this process here, where energy, so effectively the apple exists just in a form of energy. It's zapping around out there. Its atoms are going around and protons and all the rest of it. Then that information is then sent into our senses, and our minds create a picture of what it thinks it sees, which is the apple. So the conclusion I came to is that the apple actually exists in my mind. So in other words, the apple actually exists outside of me as energy, but inside of me, I give it some shape and some ideas, color and things like that, texture, based on my past memories of what it is that my mind is interpreting that it's seeing. So the next consideration was what influences my actions. So in this example, first example, we've seen the gentleman sees the picture of sees the apple, has an emotion about it, decides to eat it, and the outcome is the apple is eaten. Another example of another human being could be they see the apple and their emotion is yuck, and their reaction is to run, and the outcome is the apple just doesn't get eaten. So what conclusion I came to here was that it's my thoughts and my emotions that actually determine my actions. So we've got here two examples of one person that's thought, oh, they both thought it was an apple. One of his emotional reaction was, yeah, that's nice, and they've eaten it. And the other person was, emotional reaction was to that thought was yuck, and they run away. So the conclusion I came to was that the determination of my actions is my thoughts and my emotions. As we can see there's two different actions based on the same situation. So the last consideration was, am I able to determine the outcomes of my life? So we've just seen this example here. Now, I'm guessing what was going through this person's child's head was something along the lines of healthy food taste feels bad, or the reverse of that is unhealthy food tastes good. And in this gentleman's case, a thought could be healthy food tastes good and unhealthy food tastes bad. So, I've got 5 children, and and in my own experiences, over time, I've changed. There's things that I didn't like when I was young, and suddenly I've decided, for various reasons, that I like them now. So the conclusion I came to back then was, yes, it is possible to change, the outcomes or actions and outcomes of my life, by changing my thoughts and my emotions. And I've realised this about probably a good 10 years ago, and I've put this into practice a lot in my life since then. And as you'll see in some other later videos, I'll give you some tools on how to actually change your thoughts and your emotions so that you can actually determine the actions and outcome of your life. So finally, some of the considerations or conclusions I came to with my considerations were, first of all, where do my thoughts come from? So they come from my memories, my past. One of the challenge with that, of course, is that it means that any thoughts that I have, and then emotions and actions are all based from my past. So it's limited by my past experience. Whereas the apple, as I've said, you could argue the apple exists in multiple places, but in this example, 2 places. One is outside as energy, pure energy, and then it actually exists as an apple, as a red apple or whatever it is, the picture is that we create in our minds. A couple of things to think about here, of course, is if you say, they lived in Papua New Guinea in the middle of nowhere, had never seen any human beings before, and the first human beings that turn up give you an apple, you'd have no idea what that apple is. You'd have no memories of it, so you have no idea what it actually was. Of course, the people that gave you the apple know what it is because they've got different experiences or different memories about that. The next thing was, well, what influences my actions? And as we sort of demonstrated, it's the thoughts and the emotions. So, and those thoughts and emotions then, as stated before, come from our memories in our past. finally, am I able to determine the actions and outcomes of my life? Well, again, as I've demonstrated, the conclusion I came to was yes. So I can either do this by changing my thoughts or my emotions. So, for example, we can use counselling to change our thoughts, or hypnosis. I spent years in counselling, and a lot of the beliefs, for example, beliefs I had, for example, around my ex-wife, over a period of time, I was able to change those and realising actually those were my responses, and so by changing my thoughts about what I thought was going on with my ex-wife and actually taking responsibility for those thoughts, then I was able to change the outcome. So I stopped blaming her for everything, and took a responsibility for my own emotions and changed those emotions, changed my thoughts and changed my emotions, which changed the outcome of my life. We can change our emotions. I've mentioned, you can do it through counselling. Other ways we can do it is through various breathing techniques, meditation, Reiki, all sorts of different things. There's lots of different ways to change our emotional state. So if we can change either of those things, then we change our actions, which then change the outcomes of our lives. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I hope it's been of some use. If you'd like to know more or have any questions for me, feel free to contact me at simonnorton.nz. Thank you. Have a great day.